I'm in my IntelliJ now, and let's start coding for chapter 17, externalizable interface. So here I will go to our main package, and I will do alt insert package chapter 17. I will just mark it as externalizable. Okay, and I will just copy this, Control C, enter, and similarly I will create the package in test. Alt insert package externalizable. Okay, so we have got the packages created. To save some time, I will copy it from the previous chapter. Let me take it from chapter 13. I'll just Control C, market data with writeObject, readObject method. So I'll just copy this class, Control C, and then Control V, and then I will change it as something as with externalizable. Okay, market data with externalizable. Oh, let me change it, not with, just remove this with. Okay. Now I will make some necessary changes required for this chapter. Now, first of all, I need to change implements should be externalizable. Okay. This externalizable is just it actually a sub interface of main serializable. So if I check this, so if you see that public interface externalizable extends serializable, and it's showing a compilation error because I need to override it methods, which is writeExternal and readExternal. So I just alt enter implement methods and it select all, and then just create this variable. So we will I will just write to do here and to do here. Now let's implement this first. So first of all, I will remove this serial version UID, Control Y, and once I remove it, I will get this warning. So I do alt enter, create this. So the ID has created it. Okay, and so we have got all these fields, this string and long and double and boolean. Let me just show a bad example that using writeExternal and readExternal, we are able to even serialize and deserialize transient and static private members. So I will just choose one of them. So I will just do the last and mark it as transient. So I will, okay, let me take it out here. So I will just mark it as transient. Okay, and then Alt Shift down so that I can mark it here. I will remove this, and instead of this, I will create a static field called as private static string, something as MD provided, MD provided, which is my market data provider. Okay, so we got transient and static. The way we can move, just for a tip, that we can move any line by using Alt Shift up to move up or down using the down arrow like this. Okay, so we have got implemented externalizable and this. Let me remove this getters and setters and regenerate them. So also toString. Okay, so I will do Alt insert getter and setter, Control A. Okay, and similarly I will do it for toString. Alt insert toString. It's already covered all of them. Okay, and also I will include MD provider. Okay, so we have got getters and setters and toString, and as we have learned that this writeObject and readObject will never be called, so I can just write out a print statement here that as out, and something like writeObject method will never be called. So writeObject will never be called. I copy this and do the same for readObject. So we will assert this statement that is never be called when we write some unit test case. Okay, next. So let's write our writeExternal and readExternal methods. I would like to move this writeObject and readObject methods down, and I will want to move this up. So what I can do is that I can select these two methods and Control Shift and then down arrow key. So these are placed now down now, and we have got writeExternal on top of it. So here, suppose in the writeExternal, because we as a developer, we want all the control, and we only want to serialize or deserialize only few of the fields here, including the transient last field and static field. So let me write the code here. So for example, I will only like to write security ID first, and I will just pass that variable here, security ID. Similarly, let me just create these three. So write, and I will like to go for time, which is the long. So write long, and then I will pass time here. Okay, and then I will also choose a different variable as, say, Boolean, and Boolean is level 1. Okay, so I will write Boolean, and the Boolean is level 1. Now let's write this transient variable. Right, transient variable, as we know that it's in the JVM default process, it's never serialized. But here, because we are having a full control using writeExternal, so let's write it down here to out dot write double last. Okay. Similarly, I will copy this for MD provider, which is a static field. Again, static field is also not serializable because it's a class variable. It's not an object variable, but still using writeExternal, we are able to write it. Okay, so these three fields that we have done, similarly, we'll read it back here. Let me remove this. Let's go down a little bit, and let's retrieve this back from the object input object reference. So first thing is security ID. We can read it back using in dot read UTF. Guys, UTF is used for the strings. Okay, and let me just do like this. I will use time in dot read long. Okay, and then it's level 1 in dot read Boolean, and then let me give some space to mark it as special variables. This last is in dot read double, and similarly MD provider, which is our static, this is also read back using in dot read UTF. Guys, one thing very important is that the sequence. So the way we have written it to the object output object byte of stream, so we are actually following this sequence that we have security ID, time is level 1, last, and MD provider, right? And once we are reading it back, it should be exactly in the reverse order. Okay, so security ID, we are reading it first. Sorry, not in the reverse order, but the same order as we have written. Sorry about that. Okay, so once we retrieve it back, it should be exactly in the same order. If you try to read this long before or read this Boolean before, then I don't think that it will work correctly. So the sequence is very important here. So once we have the same sequence we have written to the object output, that same sequence we have to retrieve it back using object input. Also, let me remove this because this is not being used. So Alt Enter, remove this. Okay, and Control Alt L finally to reformat the code and remove any unused imports. So let's revise what we have done. So we have our Java Pojo class in which we are implementing externalizable interface, which is a sub interface of serializable interface. And then we created our serialization UID. We have got string and primitive private field members, and also we have got transient and static field members. Then we wrote our getters and setters and two string methods, and Then we overridden this writeExternal and readExternal methods from externalizable interface, in which we wrote all those private field members which we want to write it to the serialize it to the object output reference. So we choose security ID, time, level, boolean, and transient and static variables as well, because even transient and static variables can be serialized using this. Similarly, while reading it back, we follow the same sequence, and the same sequence that we have written these fields to the object output class. And as we have learned that writeObject and readObject methods will never be called. Now let's write some unit test cases on this class to assert what we have.